Gentlemen, you can take the modern woman out of the streets, but you can't take the streets out of the modern woman. The caption of this post reads, Flight attendant launches GoFundMe and raises $261 after being fired for this video. So what is she doing exactly in this video? We're about to check it out here. All right, so here we go. As you can see, she's over here twerking. She's got the camera set up. She's in professional attire. Scarf and all, badge and all, shaking her cheeks for the camera. Now, this is inappropriate for most workplaces. We do see this a lot with the nurses, and they don't have a good reputation. The nurses, I'm sorry if you're a nurse, because I think they're wonderful nurses who don't fit into that category, but many of them do. Many of them do. You know, they'll be dancing at operating tables while somebody's taking their last breath. And people are wondering what's going on. I saw this and I thought to myself, you know, maybe this is something that's acceptable. Maybe it's something that I didn't know was okay to do for flight attendants. You would think it's a more professional, at least the way the flight attendants present themselves, it's a more professional environment. Well, I checked out a few of these comments, and there were some flight attendants who left comments and gave their 2 cents here on this particular topic. This person says, as a flight attendant, she knew better. So they're like, no, this is not acceptable. Somebody else here says she was preparing for her OF. So people here, this guy thinks she might make an OF transition, which I don't know how true that is, because now she's got a GoFundMe, allegedly. We're going to go do some research, see if that actually exists. Somebody else here responded back and said exactly with the applause emoji. Here's another comment from somebody else who says, wow. Another person here says, have fun, girl. Control your own life. Don't let them build it for you. And that's how you get your blessing. Enjoy life. So this have fun, it doesn't matter, live how you want is a good way to get behind on your bills. Because now she's allegedly, and we're going to do some research to see if it's true, on GoFundMe. Somebody else responded and says she just got fired for violating policy. Hope she has fun finding a new job. Oh, man. Another person responded back and says, unemployed isn't a blessing. Yeah. We live in a world where a lot of people think that like you should be able to do anything consequence free. And if you think that something's inappropriate or people shouldn't be twerking in restaurants or people should dress slightly appropriate, depending on their environment, depending on the children around them, etc., then you are a party pooper, you're a hater. You don't understand what it means to have fun. But it just seems like all the people who I remember were having fun are now not having so much fun, right? Are now broke, are now paying for all that fun they had. That was some expensive fun, man. That was some expensive fun. More comments here. Somebody else added, she seems to be practicing skills for her next career. Good luck, Nell. Another person who says, a GoFundMe, please, girl. Next time, act professional at your job. I do think it's kind of strange how GoFundMe is just such like a quick saving grace for a lot of people who make bad decisions. And we've seen that multiple times. Like, if you lose your job and you're begging immediately right after, and you're going viral, right? Those 3 combinations, 9 times out of 10, you're trying to avoid accountability from what I've seen. And rarely is it somebody who really needs the help, right? Another commenter here says, how about just going to find another job like normal people did before GoFundMe? Here's somebody else who says, how you being a single mom and a flight attendant, where's the baby when you're 1,500 miles away? How do they know she's a single mom? What are they talking about? Did she say she was? I didn't see it here in the comment section. Maybe it's in this description. It says, former Alaska Airlines flight attendant Nell Diala has launched a GoFundMe after being fired for her posting a video of her twerking on a plane. Diala or Dela, probably Dela, I don't know, I'm probably slaughtering the name, who refers to herself as a ghetto B till I die. How did I miss this? How did I miss this? You got to give me some props for creating that tagline I did at the very beginning before I actually read this. A ghetto bee till I die. Wow. Wow. So these are her words, not mine. Claims her dismissal was wrongful and has raised $261 thus far. She expressed heartbreak over the firing, stating, "I never thought a single moment would cost me everything. I was proud of what I did. This can't be real." The GoFundMe can't be real. This has to be, one of those ploys to go ahead and let me see. I'm gonna see if we can find it. Oh shit. This is it. She's for real. All right, guys. Well, it turns out the GoFundMe is real. What do you guys think of this? I think it's pretty ridiculous, if I'm going to be honest with you. She has raised way more money than the $200+ that they were talking about earlier. We can check out this bio real quick. It says, "I never thought a single moment would cost me everything. I worked as a flight attendant for Alaska Airlines for over 6 months. In between those 6 months, both of my English bulldogs died unexpectedly. My relationship was rocky because of the time I spent away, but I loved my job, meeting new people, seeing the world, and creating a safe, welcoming environment for passengers." So she enjoyed what she did. "It wasn't always easy, but I was proud of what I did." Obviously, you weren't that proud of it if you were willing to risk it over a twerking video. Goes on to say, "Although this was my dream job, I was using the income to fund my blossoming lingerie and dessert business." So she's got a lingerie business. Okay, it all makes. Oh, okay. "One day during a layover, I posted a lighthearted video on my personal social media account. It was a harmless clip that was recorded at 6 a.m. while waiting 2 hours for pilots. It wasn't harmless. It wasn't harmless. Being inappropriate and representing a business wrongfully is not harmless. Everything matters." This comes down to so much, man. Like the chicks who complain and say a man shouldn't be able to tell me how to present myself within a relationship. Well, you're representing not only you, but when you're attached to that man, you're representing him. It all matters. It does matter the way you present yourself, how you look. Goes on to say, "I was also celebrating the end of probation and making it out of a hard upbringing in San Francisco, California." Oh, this chick was on. It just keeps getting worse. Life, something many people in the industry could relate to. So wait. Maybe probation, like probationary period for the job. That's what I'm going to assume. The video went viral overnight, but instead of love and support, it brought unexpected scrutiny. Although it was a poor decision on my behalf, I didn't think it would cost me my dream job. My employer accused me of violating their social media policy. I explained that the video wasn't intended to harm anyone or the company, but they didn't want to listen. Without warning, they terminated me. No discussion, no chance to defend myself, and no chance for a thorough and proper investigation. That video is all they needed to properly investigate what you had going on. Losing my job, she says, was devastating. I've always been careful about what I share online, and I never thought this video, which didn't even mention the airline by name, would cost me my career. Now I'm trying to figure out how to move forward. I started this GoFundMe to make ends meet due to this sudden loss of income. And until I am able to find another flight attendant position elsewhere, I've learned from my mistakes, and those don't define me. We listen and we don't judge. I knew it. What I just realized all this is TikTok brain. This last line of "we listen and we don't judge," for those of you that know this, is a trend on TikTok. And that's how she chose to end this bio of her GoFundMe. That's how she chose to end this. And if you couple her twerking and thinking this type of behavior is acceptable and okay, this is some TikTok shit too. This is a woman who goes around just thinking about TikTok all day and night, using the verbiage in like real discussions. She did not have to end that bio the way she did, but it told me everything I need to know. TikTok brain is a real thing, and from the looks of it, it might cost you your job. But of course, I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Leave your comments down below. Moving on to our next subject here, we're going to be talking about regretful parents. So this is a pretty difficult video to get through, especially if you're a parent. I know I am, and there are many people who watch the Coffee Pod who are parents. But this woman reads these stories of regretful parents, people who wish they didn't have children anymore. And when you hear these parents sometimes talk, which the majority of them are women, moms, you wonder how safe are the children that they are taking care of. Now, she presents this like, oh, we're building this community of women who were lied to about being mothers, that it actually comes with responsibility when all we wanted to do was probably live a soft life or eat, pray, love, or whatever else that goes into the insertion of modern women's delusions of how they believe life should work. But check this out. Regretful Parents Part 53.
This was a hard message to read. It's fairly short, but I want to ask you to please be kind in the comments and please just put yourself in someone else's shoes rather than rushing to judge, because this message is a little harsh and it could be easy to jump to judgment, but please reserve judgment and just put yourself in this woman's shoes. She says, I hate being a mother. I have 4, 2 boys, 2 girls. There are 2 fathers. One of them is a great father. The other is an alcoholic. Throughout the years, I've sacrificed everything. My youth, my time, my career, my life to be a full-time mom. Because at the time, I thought that's what I was supposed to do. Not because I wanted to. But culturally, once you're a mom, that's it. You give up everything. Your happiness, your life, your career. I'm just so miserable. I hate being a mom. I hate my kids. Obviously, I don't starve them or beat them. I just do the bare minimum right now. I take them to school. I make dinner. I buy them the things they want and need, and that's it. I don't go out of my way to spend time with them or have fun with them. In fact, I avoid it as much as I possibly can. I don't date at all. I never have men around them because even though I hate my children, I don't like the idea of men being around them in case one of them is a creep. What I'm trying to get at is I hate being a mom. I wish I was free from them, and sometimes when I let thoughts get the best of me and let my mind run, I think how I would feel if I just woke up and they were gone. Poof, magic. Like the movies where they wake up and the life they dreamt is actually just that, a dream. I can't wait for them to grow up so I can finally have my freedom. But it sucks because then I'll be old. How unfair.
Wow.
This
So let me first say this. In the beginning, she says, reserve judgment before you judge, right? Because you're not supposed to give your opinion. You shouldn't judge others and tell people what you think when they get on a public platform and spew off this type of nonsense. She says, put yourself in the mother's shoes first. And you know what? I actually thought to myself, let me see where she's coming from. I don't get it. I don't get how we're in a generation where people expect more sympathy than children. She decided to have 4 children. She could have stopped at 1, and only one child would have had to deal with the experience of being raised by a mother who hates them. Let's make sure we remember that she plainly stated and boldly stated that I hate my children. There's so many chicks out here, bro, who you have to make sure they understand. Overall, my channel is a channel for men, even though a lot of women tune in. And I just want to make it clear that if you're somebody who plans to start a family and find a woman or a wife, that you vet that chick very, very seriously, that you sit down with that woman. Does she have a history of seeing what it takes to raise a child the right way? Does she understand the gravity of the situation? Because she says, oh, I have a good father, and the kids have a good father and they have a bad father. One's an alcoholic, the other one's pretty good. How do you think those guys feel? They must know, they must have regret that, man, I can't believe I set my seed up to be in an environment with a woman, a mother who actually hates her children. No, we will not give this woman sympathy. You are a grown adult. We don't ask to be here. You never asked to exist. So when you decide to go out and exercise your God-given talent that is given the human race to reproduce, and you make that decision, you're bringing life into this planet and you are responsible for it. Everything about most people that ends up being a point of a traumatic experience usually stems from their childhood. How do you think these children will end up growing up having a sense? Because they may not be able to put their finger on it right now. Right now, they're just like, oh, I wonder why mom doesn't smile at me, or why she turns me down for hugs, or why I cry. Because it's just in start. In their older years, the part of one of the most difficult is the first introduction to raising up children. I'm a parent, and there are plenty of parents who tune in here on the coffee pod. When you have a baby, that first introduction is rough. They will eventually realize that something wasn't right when it came to the relationship between them and their mother. And when they do, they will be effed up. The way you relate to life, the confidence you have when you go into life depends on the people in your life who you know have your back. You know you can fail in life and take risks. Oftentimes people who are very, very driven, high, confident personalities usually have a really great support system. You're destroying these children's confidence. You're ruining them before they can even have a chance in this world. And you will most likely regret this. The bare minimum is not enough for children who need attention, care, nurturing. It's a form of neglect. It is a form of abuse, even though she tried to make it clear that, oh, I don't beat them and so on and so forth. I just want to wake up one day and wish that they were gone when I woke up. Very unfortunate, man. Very unfortunate. Let's read a few of these comments. What do you guys think? Top comment says, I fear this is exactly how I would feel if I ever have kids. Somebody else who says that is valid and exactly why no one should ever judge anyone else's choices around this X. Another person who says you will, maybe not every day, but some days, don't do it. So this whole community is a community of women who regret having children. And she says, so effing unfair, right? In that video, she says so effing unfair. We have the largest demographic of entitled human beings, I believe, today. Most of these chicks, in my opinion, I believe even if you gave them the life that they think they're supposed to be having, the life that they see online, you know, the life of traveling and whatnot, they would just complain about the next thing. If they were single and childless, they'll complain about how it's hard dating and finding a partner as a single and childless person. Life is about mistakes as well. It's about living with decisions and mistakes you made in your past and shouldering those. You can't go back. Yes, it's unfair. Life, it's a part of life. And so sitting there and crying and complaining about it in any given situation, especially when it's something you can't change, really does not help you. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't express yourself, but are you going to make the people around you suffer? Okay, I understand maybe the adults in your life, but the children who you created suffer? Somebody else here says, okay, but why did it take 4 kids to realize? Somebody else here says, I think it was probably the second relationship, but yeah, I never understand why people keep popping them. Here's somebody else who says that part. I mean, this part, it says. And now all of them are going to be emotionally traumatized, being raised by someone that hates them. Very true. So here's something I've personally realized recently since we introduced our son into my family. I've realized that when I hear stories about children, I used to relate before and relate from a perspective of, oh, I probably know what it's like or can guess what it's like to be responsible for a child. And I did not understand the half of it, man. When you actually have a child and you see like all this violence, especially when children are involved, or you see someone who's neglecting children, and you actually are a parent, it just hits a little bit different.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
It's tough to take in. It's tough to take in. Somebody else here says, I bet many women feel this way. She just blunt and straightforward. That's something that I could see being sadly true. You know, we live in a generation of modern women who want it all, which is why, man, I say, if you're a guy and you're out here dating, you got to make sure you have a conversation of what do you think relationships mean? Because a lot of modern women, if you're a man dating today, will jump into these relationships, marriages, having a false idea. Their definition, how they define it, will be all wrong. Ask them, what do you think this is? Oh, I think it's going to be this. We're going to be traveling. It's going to be so much fun. No, it's going to be work. People who don't have children report that they're more happier. Now, if you want to feel fleeting happiness every once in a while, cool. But if you want to feel joy, accomplishment for the life you've lived, fulfillment in your life, which comes with work, nothing is easy, nothing. Then you take that path. You take that path. And that inner peace and that joy is long lasting, and I believe more sustainable when you know you have a solid community and family around you. Another comment here says, those kids know exactly how she feels about them. That's a fact. That's a fact. Somebody else here says, she doesn't hate her children. She just resents them. I get it. Ma'am, shut up. She said she hates her children. Stop trying to sugarcoat and repackage what she's saying. She said, I hate my children. Because it sounded bad. Now you want to come over here and try to make it sound better. And here's another comment that says, yeah, I was going to say the same thing. She just yearns to be alone, but does still care about them. Somebody else here says, this is incredibly sad. It's also unfair as the dads get to opt out. Another person here added, just because it's understandable to resent your kids does not make it well. If it's my time to be honest, I have more sympathy for most prisoners than I do regretful parents. Ooh. The vulnerability of a child. Like you really got to think about it. Life is hard, man. To come into this world and just to intentionally, neglectfully be set up for failure is one of the things that as I get older and as I experience fatherhood more, I just see as it's just one of the worst things. So much about your upbringing predicts your future. And to think that they're just a bunch of young children and babies just being exposed to toxicity, of violence, and horrific situations is highly, highly unfortunate. One more video here from this chick. Let's check it out.
I never wanted to be a mother, but I was careless and got pregnant. It was the worst news I have ever experienced in my life. The only thing I could think about was how I had ruined my life forever. My first thought was to, but the laws of the country where I live do not allow it. Everyone was happy except me. Everyone loved the baby except me. My pregnancy, although it was a good one, it was a sad one. The day my son was born was not one of happiness. Sadness and dreadfulness took over me, and the only thing in my mind was, this is how my life has ended. Nothing is mine anymore. And I couldn't do anything to change it. My time is no longer mine. My body is no longer mine. I have no freedom or autonomy. I cannot do what I want when I want. My son is already 5 months old, and I don't feel love for him. I never did. I treat him with kindness and respect because he is not to blame for my irresponsibility. I hate everything that comes with being a mother. I am the default parent, and I hate it. I lost my identity. I am no longer me. Now I'm just the mother of. I became invisible. I suffer from postpartum depression. I cry every day. I have anxiety and anger attacks that are sometimes very difficult to control and manage. I never thought I could feel numb and suffocated at the same time. I take refuge in my work. Those hours that I'm not with my son are the best of my day. I lost all desire to be with my husband. Just the thought of intimacy and it resulting in another pregnancy gives me a visceral feeling. My stomach turns and hurts.
So this woman is married. I don't know if she said at the beginning there. I was too busy getting caught up in the fact that she is actually responsible for this and should have been more careful if she wanted to avoid it.
Luckily, I have a wonderful husband who has helped me a lot and who is with me at all times. He helps around the house and does not judge me for what I feel and think. I will be starting therapy soon because I can't deal with this anymore by myself. I need help. If I could turn back time and stop all of this, I would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. Life is not a game. Bringing life into this world is not a game. And I think more people need to err on the side of this will be difficult. It will be more challenging than it will be all these wonderful times. And if you don't plan to have children, then you have to be extremely, 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 extremely careful because it is your responsibility at the end of the day. Now, I understand postpartum is a real thing, and mothers do need help when they're going through that. Very much so. All right, moving on here. All right, guys. So let's talk about TikTok. Breaking news: Biden administration has no plans to enforce potential TikTok ban. Let's check it out.
We are just now reporting that the Biden administration does plan to punt implementation to the Trump administration, and that the way that they are going to do so is that they are not going to collect on the fines that is the punishment described in this law. So that is breaking right now as we speak. Let me explain that. The penalty in this law, what effectively is the whole underpinning of this, is that the service providers, so that is someone like Apple, a company like Apple, who is offering TikTok in its app store. That's a company like Oracle, the data hosting server for TikTok. In this law, those companies are fined $5,000 per user, 170 million users. It totals to about $850 billion in fines. That's the whole underpinning of this here. The Biden administration is just now telling us they will not collect on those fines. And I think I'd go so far as to say it also kind of renders what the Supreme Court will decide not as important anymore if the Biden administration is committing to doing that. That then means the next day we get into a Trump presidency. Trump has said that he has plans to immediately intervene. There are several different options that he has at his disposal. Could he somehow organize some type of sale that then he, as the president, has the discretion to say, yep, that's a qualified divestiture. I'm good with that. Could he tell his attorney general to essentially do the same thing that the Biden administration is telling NBC News that they are doing, which is, hey, don't enforce that. Don't collect on those fines. It'll be a really interesting question, though, Kristen, to then see how the tech companies handle this. If you're the general counsel at an Apple or an Oracle, do you tell your company, yep, I think we're safe here. That's enough protection? Or could we still see those apps have lingering concerns?
So there you guys go. I think the more I see the actual date, which I believe it was the 19th, approaching for the TikTok ban, the more I believe that it's probably not going to happen. It seems like there's like a chicken being played here between the government, the owners of the app, and everybody that's involved as they figure out what direction they're going to take TikTok. I'm starting to think it might not ever be banned, if I'm going to be honest with you. Let's check a few of these comments. Top comment here says, too late. I'm fluent in Mandarin now. Yeah, I saw a lot of people trying to learn Chinese because they're heading over to that app, Red Note. Somebody else here says, we did it, Joe. Another person here added, Red Note is trash. TikTok will stay. Another person here says, Tim Cotton punching the air right now. Here's somebody else who added, of course, Biden isn't going to do anything. Worst president of all time. Here's somebody else who added, Biden will screw it up. It's what he does. Here's somebody else who says, I have no plans of staying if they sell, which I doubt they will, nor if they purchase it without the algorithm. All this back and forth is so unnecessary when they're going to lose a lot of users. So what I think is going to happen to TikTok is I believe they will get some sort of extension. And I think the part that I'm really confused about when I see a lot of TikTok creators react to this is I'm hoping the ones that actually take their content creation seriously, especially platforms that drink coffee where I've showcased them here, I hope they spend the duration of whatever extension TikTok gets building on other platforms. That would be the smart thing to do, or at least getting 1,000 people over to YouTube and trying to figure out a way they could avoid just losing their whole audience. Now, there are a lot of people who as a whole just believe, of course, TikTok should be banned immediately. What do you guys think? From what I've seen with the next administration, with the Trump administration, I don't even think they feel as strongly about TikTok as they did prior. I do think that Trump sees TikTok as a leveraging tool that he could use politically going forward. I saw some people say that, like, if he does somehow end up purchasing TikTok or allows Elon Musk to purchase TikTok, then you sort of have a situation where the Republicans will own two major social media platforms, which was not the case for a while. Mark Zuckerberg is sort of backtracking, which to a lot of people looks like him being a coward. But let's not get it twisted. Facebook is very liberal. Instagram, which is owned by Facebook, the same thing. You have other platforms like Snapchat and all these other social media platforms. You never really had a platform that was controlled by somebody who identified as Republican or supported a Republican president. And I think they want to purchase TikTok because that would give the conservatives that much more of an upper hand when it comes to dealing with narratives that are usually pushed through social media platforms. That's it. Let's see what else we have here. I think we have one more topic I'm going to check out.
I get it. Trust me, I get it. Let me give you a story time to let you know I get it.
So yes, this is the OG from the last video who was simping on modern women, talking about how back in his day, you know, they built the table. Right. Let's listen to what he's talking about here in this video, because this is a little bit different.
I used to be on Joel Osteen's prayer team. It's called the Stevens Ministry. This is the ministry that if you're ever in church and they say, hey, do you need prayer? You raise your hand, come up to the front. This is where you raise your hand. You say, I need prayer, salvation, etc. Then they take you to the back after service. When you leave service, you meet us. We pray with you, get your information, etc., etc., etc. So by me being on this team, I was invited to a lot of meetings. I always go to prayer meetings, celebrations, graduations for ministry, people that's in the ministry, people that's getting new positions, etc. So one time we had a conference at Lakewood,
right,
for about relationships, covenants, etc. At this meeting, there was a couple that was in the ministry. They had reconciled and they were about to get divorced. Let me tell you what happened. The wife gave about a 30-minute presentation on why she cheated on her husband. The synopsis of why this white woman cheated on her husband was because he was working too much. He was staying away from home, trying to start new businesses, and his job required him to go out of town a lot. So basically, he was working too much, trying to make money to provide. So she said, I'm going to cheat. She cheated because of that.
Yeah. Cold world.
After she gave the explanation of why she cheated, the husband gave us a 20-minute presentation on why he felt the need to let that job go, get a lower paying job just to meet her needs so she wouldn't cheat. Looked at my wife. My wife was sitting right next to me. Mind you, we're in church. I looked at my wife and said, did this mother say she cheated because he was making too much money and working? She said, yeah. I said, wait a minute. Did this dude just say he gonna quit his job? He quit his job and got a lower paying job just so she wouldn't cheat? My wife said, yes. After his 20-minute presentation on quitting his job, getting another job that was a lower paying job so he could meet her needs at home and be with her more and more and more so she wouldn't cheat no more. After he gave that presentation, the whole crowd started clapping. I said to my wife, so nobody is going to ask her, what does that have to do with cheat? You're not going to hold this woman accountable. I asked my wife this low, so none of these motherfuckers going to hold her accountable for cheating.
So the caption here, I just want to make sure I read this. It says, the whole church said women don't have to be accountable. Story time. So he's sharing this story, which when I hear this, man, I'm not surprised that this is happening in the church. And we'll talk about that when the video's almost done.
You mean to tell me I'm supposed to be quiet about this shit? I said, shit. My wife said, shut your ignorant. We in church. I said, I can't be quiet. What the hell is going on? This happened in church. So men, I get it. I live it. But I would not let my emotions drag me back to the mud. The rapper Scarface said this in a rap. He said, you surviving in situations demons died in. Meditate on that. Everybody watching this video is survivor in a world full of demonic presence and crazy folk. And you still here surviving. So let's learn to love each other and try to heal and stop all this trauma bonding.
All right. So I'm not surprised at all, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. And I don't think you guys are really surprised at a story like this. But I'm especially not surprised that this happened within a church. Here's the truth, whether you like it or not, people do work through cheating. Even if a man cheats or a woman cheats, it happens. There are people who get very angry about that, which I don't understand why. It's not you, right? Ma'am, it's not you, bro, it's not you. I believe if you're able to work through it, then, you should work through it. And I think you should know yourself. I think you should be honest with your significant other and say, yo, that's not something I would ever work through, so that that person understands the gravity of the situation. But the fact that they did not hold her accountable is very much like a modern way that churches do approach this type of situation I've seen. Now, I'm not for the whole, like I saw a video recently of a woman getting pregnant in church, a young lady, and they brought her up to the front of the congregation and try to embarrass her. And I'm not for all. Now, if you go on TikTok and decide to tell your story to everybody, now you're opening the floodgates, right? For people to give their take on what you've put out there publicly. And you should understand that as an adult and a grown-up. Anybody who's out here sharing their personal business online. I'm not surprised, though. Do I think that he should have given up his job to spend more time with her so that she stops cheating? No. Because now you're setting the expectation that the cheating is okay and it can be justified because a man is working hard trying to provide for the family. The whole idea of that is just plain absurd. If she's going to complain and not be able to understand the sacrifice a man is making by working, and she doesn't understand that, okay, this man's willing to work because he wants to provide for his family, what makes you think that when financial disaster strikes, and we know that that's top 3 reasons why people get divorced out here is financial calamity. When that strikes, it makes you think she's going to be different from the rest. She's already proven that she is incapable of understanding that sacrifices must be made, and no, this is not a justification for you to step out of your marriage. It makes you think in the most common situation where people usually decide to cheat. Even the strongest people decide to give up on a relationship, the stress of a financial crisis that she is going to hold up. Chances are she will complain about that as well. No, I don't think that's right. They should have definitely held her accountable. And you're setting this weird precedent for men who enter marriages or who think of entering marriages within the church. Let's read a few of these comments. Top commenter says, do you have any stories you can share of men or pastors who cheat with no accountability and wife make the changes and the husband stays the same? Please share. And so again, like he responded yes to that. Like I said, people do work through cheating. Now, how your mind decides to reflect on that, what caused it, and how to move forward matters. Some people just don't understand that it's not always that deep. Sometimes that man just wanted some new cheeks. Or that woman. And women usually, they're not going to tell you this when they step out because they have to mask it in this whole like, oh, he was working too much. Nope, you're 3 or 4. And you let the 3 or 4 come out of you. Maybe it was hidden for a little bit. Just keep it real. Just keep it real. It's not always some deep-rooted situation. No, you need more discipline. It's not always some deep-rooted thing. And I hate when people do that sometimes to themselves because they really just complicate the whole situation. And you can apply this to so much in life. No, you don't eat because you have emotional trauma. Stop. You love food. You love food and you need to just put it down sometimes, right? You need to not eat so much. Oh, I didn't get it done because of my ADHD and I can't concentrate. You're lazy. Sometimes it's just not that complicated. Someone else here says, someone once told me my wife isn't my property. Shaking my head. So what's the point of marriage then? So this man here is saying my wife isn't my property. No one is your property. She responded and says, so American citizens aren't the property of America? And this person responded back with a facepalm. Yeah, this whole idea of people being your property, I think to a lot of people who hear that statement, I don't use that statement, right? But to a lot of people who hear that statement, they see that as, okay, so I have to do what you tell me to do. No one has to do what anybody tells them what to do. If you're in a situation where someone has to do what you tell them to do, then they're essentially a slave, which is just the truth. They always have an option. You can either get along or you can choose to break apart from that situation. Even in a healthy relationship where you may have traditional dynamics, there is a form of an economy of reciprocation within that dynamic. She's getting what she wants out of the situation, and she should be, and you're getting what you want as a man. There shouldn't be an extreme imbalance, right? Somebody else who says, laughing emojis, I always stop at your stories. Here's another person who says, at that moment, I would have known this ain't the right church. Here's another comment that says, wow, that is crazy sad. Of course, guys, curious to know, what do you think? Leave your comments down below. I appreciate you for checking out another episode of The Coffee Pod. To my soon-to-be married and soon-to-be engaged men, remember, head to fathershaverights.com to get the #1 guide to drafting a solid and legally binding prenuptial agreement while you still can with offer code REVIEW. If you use the offer code, you get it 100% free. Get it now while you still can. Consider joining Brew Brothers. We have a new guest in there that's coming that's going to be talking about introduction to cryptocurrency. That actually drops today. So you want to get in there and get access to that. Appreciate you guys. Till next time. I'm out. Peace.